So when I was younger, actually, it's still a part of my life today. But when I was younger, I was diagnosed with severe levels of depression and anxiety. And I kind of just wanted to talk about the effects that has had on my life and how I've tried to work through it and how I've tried to be better since. So I was diagnosed pretty young, and it was due to a very violent childhood, a very violent upbringing. So I'm not crying. Medyo lang eh. It was a very violent childhood, whether it was due to my relationship with my father or whether it was due to my environment. I mean, grew up in the hoods of North Philly. You can imagine how that shit was. I'm very grateful for growing up in the hood, though. I definitely wouldn't be the person I am if it wasn't for that. Besides the point, though. So when I was younger, it's weird. Because when I was younger, I had less of an anxiety problem, more of a depression problem. Whereas now I have more of an anxiety problem, less of a depression problem. I think I said that right. Let me just say it again just in case I fucked that up. When I was younger, I had more of a depression problem than an anxiety problem. Now I have more of an anxiety problem rather than a depression problem. Not that I still don't get depressive episodes, or not that I still didn't get anxious when I was a kid, but that wasn't the main anchor. When I was a kid, I really struggled with the purpose of life. Life genuinely felt meaningless. Getting out of my bed, going to school, brushing my teeth, anything mundane that it would take maybe 2% effort took 90% effort for me. And I constantly walked around with this feeling of hopelessness that life is bullshit because I walked around as a child thinking I didn't do anything to deserve this kind of treatment. I didn't do anything to deserve these kind of life altering experiences. Why is this happening to me? That was my existential question as a child. And as a result, it took me down very, very, very dark paths. Anxiety and stuff would still exist to certain degrees, but that anxiety was more of because of the relationship with my father, that I always felt like I was walking on eggshells when I was around him. And I felt like I was in a prison. I mean, and when I lived with him, I didn't feel as if I was truly taken care of, truly protected and whatnot. Because my father didn't give a fuck about me. I'll be honest with you. He didn't give a shit about me. He never showed any interest in any of the shit I ever wanted to do. Dude was abusive as fuck. I mean, there was never a point where I felt like my father loved me. And there was never any point where I felt like my dad truly would protect me. Because my dad was always the person to throw you under the bus before he takes any accountability for himself. I was a kid. And this dude wouldn't even show up to conferences or anything or say anything in support of me because he was always worried about his own self image. That's something he even said to me before. Why would I put myself in harm's way for you? I don't know, bitch. Because you're my fucking dad. And that's your job as a parent. But nah, he didn't do that. And my depression led me down some pretty dark paths, as I mentioned earlier. I think the peak of my depression was when I was 16 years old. I started doing drugs. I think that was the big one for me. I'm not going to talk about what I did, but it wasn't just soft shit. But that was probably the lowest point of my life. And when you take into the account that even the simplest of tasks took so much energy, or the fact that I still had to show face at school the next day, I still had to go to work and take care of these bills to what felt like a dead end life. it was rough. It was rough, and I would say that when I was 16, that was my sophomore year of high school. I would say that's probably the lowest I've ever been in life. That says a lot, because there's a lot of shit that I've been through that I have not talked about on here. But that might be the lowest point of my life. That might have been the worst year of my life, my sophomore year of high school. And recently, 2025 was also one of the worst years of my life, like top three, especially that second half. My God. And that feeling of hopelessness, that feeling of defeat, it all came back. And it had been a long time since I felt that level of defeated. Because I would have episodes from every now and then, but I was able to get them a lot better under control. But my episode, that second half of 2025, man, it was fucking rough. And depression does this thing where it just sucks the life out of you, like, if you haven't been able to get the gist of that already. It truly sucks the life out of you. And growing up with immigrant parents or just hyper religious people that try to convince you that mental health isn't real, that depression's not real, it's all in your head. All you gotta do is pray and it'll go away. Although there is a lot of alleviation that you will get from improving your relationship with your faith. I will agree there. Because especially, I mean, I'm going to say specifically from a Muslim lens, an Islamic perspective, a lot of the existential questions that I had in life that made me feel the way that I did when I was younger, Islam had the answers for. I just never looked into it. But this past episode that I didn't have any existential questions. I didn't have a why me. I didn't have a this isn't fair. I didn't have any of that. I just had a moment of defeat. That genuinely, what the fuck? That's all that was going through my head. Is what the fuck? That's the only thing I could. If you asked me to describe 2025, that's how I would describe it. Genuinely had no answer. So people say that the answer to your problems is just to pray about it and whatever. Well, I was still doing that. Why did I still feel that low? And here's the thing. Although religion has, at least from an Islamic perspective, Islam does have answers to a lot of problems, there's still work that we need to do on ourselves. Then maybe faith doesn't directly address. Like faith gives you a manual on a general skeleton on how to live your life. At least from an Islamic perspective. Islam is a way of life. It teaches you how to live life as a Muslim. But there are certain things that'll happen in your life that scripture is not going to directly address. Like, yes, Islam, the Quran is a way of life. 100%. Does the Quran tell you how to work a microwave? No. But guess what? If all you think is that faith has the answer for everything, you would never use a microwave. Even then, does it tell you how to start a fire? No. So you still have to seek knowledge. You still have to go and figure things out that faith doesn't directly address. I feel like that's kind of common sense. But people take that in a manner of that you are now denouncing faith. Hell no. I'm very proud to be Muslim. And after the years of search that I did to get to a conclusion about faith, no other faith makes sense. Islam is that religion. It is the religion that makes sense. So my faith from that perspective is, I think it would be very hard for me to ever be shaken off that ever again unless I'm alive during the time of the Dajjal. Oh my God, I hope I'm dead. Woo! I hope I'm dead. Anyways, but you still have to find ways to alleviate your distress, your hardships, your sadness, your depression by other means. But the thing about depression, again, with that whole idea of sucking life out of you, is that you feel like you don't even want to go get help. Like you just want to sit and rot in your bed forever. Like even the idea of sending one cold email to a therapist or sending that one text to a friend. Like, hey, can we talk? I need somebody to talk to. Not only does that take so much effort, it feels like you're overburdening people. They're not gonna give a fuck about what I gotta say. This therapist's not gonna give a shit. They're just gonna sit there, take notes of me, and take $100 from me after the session. They don't give a shit. It really, really just drives you down this deep, dark rabbit hole of life is pointless. Hopelessness. It drives you down. That's the word I was looking for. It drives you down this deep, dark hole of hopelessness. And there's nothing that really does it like that. Depression is really one of those things. It's really undefeated in that regard. So me sitting here saying that I've figured out my depression would be being disingenuous. I don't think there's really such a thing of figuring out your depression. I think you just, or let me put it this way. I don't think there's a thing called depression going away. I think you just learn how to handle it better. You can identify patterns within you when an episode's about to begin, and you can have maybe a certain regimen that you can fall back to help alleviate the implications of that entire thing. But it never goes away. So I could be married with kids, I'm still gonna have depressive episodes. And I just gotta hope that my partner is educated on how depression actually works. Hopefully she's not. Actually, let me be nice. I'm not gonna say anything. Anxiety is a different beast though. And although my anxiety is really, really bad, that's not my words, my therapist's words when I was younger. I can't say that I dealt with both high levels of anxiety and high levels of depression at once. One always superseded the other. So like whether it's the worst moments of my life, whether it was this most recent episode, anxiety wasn't really in the picture like that. But anxiety shows up so much more in my day to day. It's this constant thing of this battle with myself on, am I going to be able to be the person that I say I can be? And a lot of my anxiety lies in this unknown, this what if. What if I fail? What if I'm not this? What if I'm not that? And that anxiety has consumed me. Consumed me. And it all stems back from when I was a kid. Because I just felt constantly like I was walking on eggshells in my own home. I was scared to laugh too loud. I mean, it was rough, man. It was rough. And now even getting in front of a camera making videos was so hard for me at first. Because I'm like, okay, well, what if these people see it? What if this person sees it? What will they say? I get in this log gang, you know? I feel like that also has inhibited my ability at maybe growing at a faster rate with content. There was even a point where someone had some let's just say someone had some shit to say about a video I made. Unwarranted response to the video that I made. It wasn't even a big fucking deal, but unwarranted response. to the point that I thought about stopping content altogether. If I am getting this pushback, if I'm getting this bullshit at 60 followers, and it's just one person and it's fucking my head up, what is this gonna look like at 5K, 10K, 100K, a mil? Can I handle it? Safe to say I didn't listen to them. I still kept making my videos. But I'll be lying if I said that interaction still doesn't haunt me a little bit. Kinda does. And that anxiety of, what if those people were right? That I'm just some cornball getting in front of a camera not doing anything. That my content's not going to do well. Or I'm not going to get that job. I'm not going to make that. I'm not going to do these things that I said I was going to do. So, to a degree, anxiety has crippled me on a day to day. I overthink everything. So, depression has done that, where it's been able to make me feel as if my entire life is meaningless. And then anxiety is like the so paired together with depression and anxiety, it's like a 1-2 combo. Hold the slaw. Where it's like the depression side makes me feel like my life is meaningless, and then the anxiety is making me overthink that meaninglessness to where I just fall deeper and deeper into a hole. And again, I don't think these are things that you ever just kick away forever. You just learn how to manage better. But I'm making this video because I want you guys to see that, yo, I'm 21 now. It's been a long time since I've worked through my problems, but it's a forever battle. It is a forever battle. And in a way, I'm grateful for this battle because it's helped me learn how to articulate my feelings better. And regardless of what others have insinuated about me, I have made impacts. I have made positive impacts for people, and I'm glad that I've been able to do that. I'm glad I've been able to be a benefit for somebody. So at least when it's all said and done, I've made a positive impact on people, and that's what this is all for at the end of the day. But nah, man, mental health, depression, anxiety—that's one thing that you're gonna deal with forever. It doesn't just go away, but you learn how to handle it better. And as cliche as it sounds, those trials and tribulations that you've been through, that is the trials of, damn, I forgot my train of thought. My mom talking loud as hell on the phone. The trials and tribulations that you've been through is what makes you who you are today. So wear your battle scars like they're a badge of honor. Because I know damn well I am. Link in description to my link tree. All my socials are on there. Instagram, TikTok, all that. Go fuck with the boy. Mr. Beast, we coming for you.